Let me tell you something most men will never admit out loud. You gave her everything, your time, your love, your full attention, and somehow she slipped right through your fingers. It doesn't make sense, right? You were available, you were kind, you showed her she meant something, and yet she drifted away like you were nothing. But the truth is, what you gave wasn't what ignites her desire. Female attraction doesn't grow in a garden of certainty. It grows in the cracks of unpredictability. It thrives on the edge where there's curiosity instead of comfort. When you're always there, always proving how much you care, she feels no tension, no need to lean in. She knows everything, and knowing kills mystery. The man who stays calm, who's not rattled by her moods or desperate for her approval, stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. Calm isn't boring, it's magnetic. It's the unspoken message that says, I can hold your chaos without drowning in it. When you speak slowly, breathe steadily, and refuse to be rushed into reactions, you create a mystery she can't solve. She starts wondering what makes you so centered, what you've experienced that made you unshakable. Her mind begins to race with possibilities. And while other men chase her emotional waves, you remain still, grounded, untouchable. She may not realize it consciously, but her body senses your calm and relaxes in your presence. It's in that space, in your stillness, where attraction begins to grow without words. And in that silence, her mind fills in the blanks, building tension, letting curiosity turn into desire that can't be forced, only felt. Stillness speaks louder than effort, but most men can't see it. They think love is proven by constant action, endless texts, frequent compliments, chasing her attention like a dog chasing a moving car. They believe if they just show how much they care, she'll stay. But that noise only tells her you're trying too hard, that you're insecure about your own value. The truth is, stillness says, what effort never can. I don't need to convince you of anything. I already know who I am. When you're still, you radiate self-assurance without needing to declare it. She feels your confidence not in your words, but in the way you stand, the way you breathe, the way you hold her gaze without flinching or looking away. You're not trying to sell yourself. You're letting her experience you, and that difference is everything. You don't flood her with reassurance because you're not worried about losing her. You know that if she goes, it changes nothing about your worth. That relaxed presence is what makes you unforgettable. Stillness is not passive or weak. It's the quiet strength of a man who doesn't chase, doesn't cling, and doesn't crumble when things get uncertain. And that silence you hold, it echoes long after you leave the room. It lingers in her mind, pulling her thoughts back to you. While the loud man fades quickly from memory, the one who's comfortable in stillness becomes the question she can't stop asking herself. Why does he feel so different? What is it about him that makes me want more? It's in your stillness, not your striving, that you leave an imprint she can't erase. Desire lives in distance, not in suffocating closeness. You've been told that love means being there all the time, giving without limit, making yourself constantly available. But what you don't see is that by crowding her space, you take away the very thing that makes her want you, the chance to miss you. When you're always around, always calling, always ready to drop everything for her, you become predictable, easy, uninteresting. She doesn't have to wonder where you stand because you've already laid it all bare, and that certainty kills attraction. A woman's desire doesn't awaken when you stand too close. It stirs when you're near enough for her to feel your presence, but far enough for her to question if she really has you. When you pull back not with bitterness or mind games, but with purpose, you create a vacuum, a space where she starts to feel your absence. And it's in that emptiness that her mind starts replaying your words, your touch, your scent. The ache she feels in that space isn't punishment. It's the very tension that keeps desire alive. It's not about withholding affection out of Spite, it's about knowing you're worth enough to avoid smothering her with constant validation. You give her the gift of missing you, and with that, you become a man she can't stop thinking about. Women don't fall for men who are desperate to stay. They fall for men who know how to walk away if they must. In that quiet confidence, you give her the freedom to choose you, and that choice, made in her own heart, is what makes her truly yours. Subtlety creates fantasy, and most men have no idea how powerful it is. They think they need to explain everything, to share every thought, to confess every feeling so she knows exactly where they stand. But what they don't understand is that women don't fall in love with certainty. They fall in love with possibility. When you leave space for her imagination, you give her something more valuable than words. You give her a mystery to unravel. A man who knows how to be subtle doesn't rush to fill silences or overtalk to impress. He lets his eyes linger a moment longer, his touch say what his mouth doesn't. His pauses build anticipation instead of anxiety. He knows a single, well-timed glance can leave her thinking about him all night. He understands that contrast, a moment of warmth followed by a moment of quiet, pulls her deeper than any speech ever could. Women live in the emotional details, and subtle men let those details breathe. Don't spell out your intentions like a job application. Let your energy, your presence, and your actions do the talking. When you offer incomplete thoughts, hints of your inner world, and a confident silence that begs questions instead of giving answers, you turn yourself into a story in her mind. And stories linger far longer than facts. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding that desire grows in the unknown. When you don't rush to clarify everything, when you let her wonder just enough, you give her mind permission to fantasize about who you are and what you feel, and that fantasy is the fire that keeps her thinking about you long after you're gone. She's attracted to your emotional control, even if she never say it out loud. And let's be honest, she will test you. Not because she wants to hurt you or play games, but because she needs to feel the strength behind your calm. She wants to know that your stillness isn't a mask that cracks under pressure, but a core you've built through real self-respect. Most men crumble here. They argue, they defend themselves, they chase after every emotional spike she throws their way. But the man who holds his ground, who breathes through her storm instead of getting pulled into it, he's the one who captures her soul. He doesn't react impulsively. He responds with presence. That emotional control doesn't make you cold, it makes you a safe place where she can finally relax. And when you stand unshaken, she feels it in her bones. She wants to surrender, not because you demand it, but because your steadiness makes her feel protected. Show her the edge of your emotions without falling into neediness. She wants to see that you care, but she needs to feel that you'd still be whole without her approval. Strength with vulnerability is irresistible. Weakness disguised as romance makes her pull away. It's not about withholding love to manipulate her. It's about being so rooted in your own worth that you never beg for hers. She doesn't want to be the reason you feel complete. She wants to join a man who's already complete on his own. When you express your emotions with quiet certainty, without trying to win her over, you create a desire that's deeper than words. And in that space, she feels pulled toward you with a force she can't explain.